Good evening, friends. This is the second edition of IBG News broadcast. In this golden hour discussion, we try to cover many events, many issues, many topics which will touch the very core of the society, people's life, a country's development, security, aspirations, economic, finance, and otherwise. So today, proudly, we can say that as a part of civilian life, it is our duty to stand by our boys who are fighting hard for us in the borders of our country, in the shores and the oceans, against the mighty waves and the crooked enemies. Yes, I am talking of the Indian defense, Army, Navy and Air Force, the three pillars, and ably supported by the paramilitaries and the boys with the arms. They are standing strong. That's why we are having a peaceful life inside our Mother India. So it is our paramount duty as a civilian, as a fellow citizen, fellow brothers and sisters of these brave hearts, that we must express our solidarity with them. This week, India celebrating the Navy Week. Navy Week is a very important day in the life of a seaman, especially those who are in Indian Navy, protecting the shores of India, seas and water bodies of India under the emergencies, under the warlike situation, and even during the peace. They are always there to protect our fishermen, our boundaries, integrity of our territory, by keeping a visual eye over the enemies and the crooked people who try to smuggle the drugs, arms and others illegal items into India. So this Navy Week celebration in West Bengal and Odisha, along with other parts of India, celebrated by Indian Navy. Today we are going to in details showcase and explain what the activities Indian Navy and civilians jointly executed to celebrate our brave hearts with the ships. Let us come and listen to the podcast episode 2 Defense News Update series from IBG News. This is the second edition of our news podcast from IBG News site, and we are very proud to cater to the Indian defense through our media services. Thank you.
IBG News Defense News Update. Now let's listen to Mirai about the event details. India proudly celebrates Navy Week 2022 throughout the country, and under this initiative, various naval ships made available for people to understand the importance of the Navy. As part of the Navy Week 2022 celebration, Khanjar visits Kolkata. As part of Navy Week 2022 celebrations at Kolkata, Indian naval ship Khanjar, a guided missile corvette, made a port call to Kolkata from 17th to 20th November 2022. The ship was open to visitors at Kedarpur Docks, SMPT on the 18th and 19th November 22 following COVID protocol guidelines. Khanjar belongs to the Kukri class of indigenously designed and built missile corvettes at GRSC, Kolkata, armed with anti-ship and anti-air sensors and weapon systems. The ship was visited by enthusiastic NCC cadets, children from Sainik School, Purulia, and other schools at Kolkata, as well as personnel and families of the Indian Army, Indian Navy, IAF, Coast Guard, and officials from state and other government agencies. Over the 2 days, the ship hosted approximately 3,500 guests, including 275 ladies and 200 children from the Navy Welfare and Wellness Association, NWWA, AVWA and AFWWA, and members of the media fraternity. Visitors were given a guided tour of the ship and were briefed on the armament fit and life on board. The visit to the Indian naval ship stirred immense enthusiasm and motivating future generations to consider a career with the Indian Navy. The ship was also honored to host Lieutenant General R.P. Kalita, GOC Eastern Army Command, the Colonel of the Kumon and Naga Regiment of the Indian Army, to which the ship is affiliated. The interaction with the officers and ladies reaffirmed the bonds of friendship and affiliation between the ship, the regiments, and the two services. On a second initiative by the Indian Navy to celebrate Navy Day 2022 in Skarch opened for visitors at Gopalpur, Odisha. As a part of Navy Day 2022 celebrations, Indian naval ship Karch, a guided missile corvette, made a port call to Gopalpur for public display. The ship was open to visit on the 18th and 19th November 22 and the event was conducted under the aegis of Commodore N.P. Pradeep, Naval Officer in Charge, Odisha. In Skarch is a Kora class indigenously designed missile corvettes built at GRSC, Kolkata. In Skarch is armed with an impressive array of weapons and sensors that include a medium-range gun, 30mm close-range guns, chaff launchers, and anti-ship missiles. Over the 2 days, the ship was visited by over 2,000 visitors, which included NCC cadets, children from IREL, Army Public School Gopalpur, KV Gopalpur, Atomic Energy Central School, Sankalp Private School, and families of the Indian Army, Indian Navy, and Coast Guard. The visitors were given a guided tour of the ship and were briefed on the armament fit and life on board a warship. The visit to the Indian naval ship stirred immense enthusiasm among the people of the town and the children, who got an opportunity to get introduced to their navy. Besides motivating the younger generation to consider a career with the Indian Navy, the visit also generated a consciousness towards maritime security amongst the local populace. People of West Bengal and Odisha proudly enjoyed Navy Week in solidarity with the brave hearts of the Indian Navy. On the other hand, BSF also did some breakthroughs in the South Bengal sector to protect the interest of the law of the land. In a continuous effort to smooth border area management, regular meetings are held at the locations. Border Coordination Conference between Border Security Force and Border Guard Bangladesh concluded in the district Nadir. On 19 November 2022, Sector Commander level coordination meeting was held between BSF and BGB at Border Outpost Gele, 54 Battalion. The BSF delegation was led by Shri Sanjay Kumar, Deputy Inspector General, Sector Headquarters Krishnandar in the presence of the Commanding Officer of 107, 68, 08, 54 and 82 battalions respectively. The BGB delegation was led by Mohiuddin Mohammad Javed, Additional Director General, Sector Commander, Kushtia in the presence of the Commanding Officer of 58, 49 and 06 BGBs respectively. In the opening address, the BSF delegation warmly welcomed the BGB delegation. Both the sector commanders reiterated that the Coordinated Border Management Plan, CBMP, is a tool developed by both the border security forces for effective border management. Both the commanders discussed various agenda points along the border. Commander of BGB Sector Kushtia expressed his heartfelt gratitude for the special hospitality extended to the BGB delegation on their arrival in India. The officials hoped that meetings at all levels should continue on a regular basis, which would help in resolving bilateral issues and existing cordial relations. Finally, the meeting ended in a cordial atmosphere between both sides. This was IBG News Podcast Service read by Mirai.
IBG News International News Update News read by Billy Joey. The United States State Department informed all through a press release about the action taken for the 19th meeting of the Conference of the Parties to CITES, 19 Colombian pesos. The United States of America State Department spokesperson told in that note that Assistant Secretary for Oceans and International Environmental and Scientific Affairs and Special Envoy for Biodiversity and Water Resources Monica Medina will travel to Panama City, Panama, to attend the 19th meeting of the Conference of the Parties to the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora, CITES/COP19, November 21st to 22nd. The U.S. delegation is led by the Department of the Interior and includes experts from the Fish and Wildlife Service, the State Department, and interagency partners including USAID. While in Panama, Assistant Secretary Medina will also participate in the 4th Global Meeting of Wildlife Enforcement Networks, a series of events and dialogues to improve controls surrounding the international trade in endangered and threatened species. This is IBG News Podcast on international news on 21st of November 2022. World Health Organization, WHO, shared a very important update on future outbreaks and pandemics. In the press release, they told that WHO to identify pathogens that could cause future outbreaks and pandemics. They issued this note from Geneva on November 21, 2022. WHO is launching a global scientific process to update the list of priority pathogens, agents that can cause outbreaks or pandemics, to guide global investment, research, and development, RAND, especially in vaccines, tests, and treatments. Starting with a meeting held last Friday, 18th of November, WHO is convening over 300 scientists who will consider the evidence on over 25 virus families and bacteria, as well as Disease X. Disease X is included to indicate an unknown pathogen that could cause a serious international epidemic. The experts will recommend a list of priority pathogens that need further research and investment. The process will include both scientific and public health criteria, as well as criteria related to socio-economic impact, access, and equity. The list was first published in 2017 and the last prioritization exercise was done in 2018. The current list includes COVID-19, Crimean Kong hemorrhagic fever, Ebola virus disease, and Marburg virus disease, Lassa fever, Middle East respiratory syndrome, MERS, and severe acute respiratory syndrome, SARS, Nipah and henipaviral diseases, Rift Valley fever, Zika and Disease X. Targeting priority pathogens and virus families for research and development of countermeasures is essential for a fast and effective epidemic and pandemic response. Without significant RAND investments prior to the COVID-19 pandemic, it would not have been possible to have safe and effective vaccines developed in record time, said Dr. Michael Ryan, Executive Director of WHO's Health Emergencies Program. For those pathogens identified as a priority, the WHO RAND Blueprint for Epidemics develops RAND roadmaps, which lay out knowledge gaps and research priorities. Where relevant, target product profiles, which inform developers about the desired specifications for vaccines, treatments, and diagnostic tests, are developed. Efforts are also made to map, compile and facilitate clinical trials to develop these tools. Complementary efforts, such as to strengthen regulatory and ethics oversight, are also considered. This list of priority pathogens has become a reference point for the research community on where to focus energies to manage the next threat, said Dr. Soumya Swaminathan, WHO Chief Scientist. It is developed together with experts in the field and is the agreed direction for where we, as a global research community, need to invest energy and funds to develop tests, treatments, and vaccines. We thank our donors like the US government, our partners, and the scientists who work with WHO to make this possible. The revised list is expected to be published in the first quarter of 2023. Coming back to India, linked to the international travel update. Navi Mumbai and Vishakhapatnam duty-free shops emerge winners under the motivational scheme run by 8 ITDC. In an endeavor to promote growth and scalability, Ashok International Trade Division 8, an integral part of the India Tourism Development Corporation ITDC, introduced a motivational scheme program that monitored the growth in financial targets achieved by the duty-free shops. The scheme evaluated the quarter and annual growth of all the duty-free shops across 14 seaports operated by ITDC. Ashok International Trade Division, AITD, currently operates duty-free shops at 14 major seaports in India. In FY 2021-22, the trade division witnessed its highest ever turnover and profit since FY 2008-09.
IBG News International News Update. The 21st World Congress of Accountants Day 4 starts with powerhouse speakers shedding light on India's current green initiatives and India at 100 vision. You are listening to IBG News Podcast. News read by Mirai. New Delhi. The 21st World Congress of Accountants Day 4 starts with powerhouse speakers shedding light on India's current green initiatives and India at 100 vision. The final of the 21st World Congress of Accountants focused on the real world and the future of the economy with regard to corporate, entrepreneurship, and sustainability. Each session witnessed players from respective industries and thought leaders sharing their thoughts and ideology on the key topics that revolve around the economy, commercial laws, technology, and robust plan for a developed future. CA Y.M. Kale, past president, ICAI, and Mr. Bharat Goenka, co-founder and vice chairperson of Tally Solutions, in the inaugural session of Day 4 spoke about, do we really live in a connected world? An insight into a possible future of how connectivity can change the lives of professional accountants and businesses globally, where Mr. Goenka pointed out that companies today have witnessed changes in their communication, but can you convene transactions wherein live and updated data is required over export and old data, which brings in the need for technology changes. This action of occasional communication with clients is what we see changing in the next 12 to 18 months. The role of CA comes in when the businesses fail to have the acumen for finances and accountancy. During the session about enabling sustainability for a better future, Teresa Jacobs, Executive Director, ISDC, thanked the WCOA for raising this much talked about issue on sustainability and praised India for inculcating a strong vegetarian practice along with being to build the world's first green international airport in the state of Cochin. For a special session, being Future Ready India at 100, held by CA Amarjeet Chopra, past president, ICAI, focused on building a sustainable future. Invited speaker Mr. Deepak Parekh, Chairman, HDFC, talked, from what I have seen in the past 3 days, I see WCOA being the pillar of solidarity by being faster, aiming higher, and standing strong together. Today the world is in a polycrisis state in many ways. All countries around the world are facing a drop in growth from 6.1% to 2.7%, and more than 1/3 RD of the world will see negative growth and inflation. Whereas India has had a calibrated and confident increase. I see the growth of India in the next 5 years going from $3.4 trillion to $7.5 trillion. By 2031, I see India's stock market to be the third in the world, amounting at $3 trillion. In my 50 years, I have never been more optimistic for the future of India as I am today. Standing here, I thank all CAs who instill confidence in businesses with by honesty, integrity, and transparency. Sustainability being the key focus of the 21st World Congress of Accountants, a session on happy state of mind for a greener world was held, comprising of a panel discussion between CA M. Devraja Reddy, past president, ICAI, and Dr. Gyanvatsal Swami, life coach, an eminent speaker who proclaimed, growth, progress and success are all different. An increase in your productivity is growth. A quality standard of growth is progress, and when this progress is aided with the right attitude and a healthy mind, it is called success. There are 3 ways through which one can achieve a happy state of mind: be a prosperity thinker, not a poverty thinker; practice intense hard work with ethics; and third, always maintain the right amount of humanity, morality and spirituality inside of you towards others to achieve happiness in your mind. CA Dr. Debashish Mitra, President, ICAI, and CA Aniket S. Thalathi, Vice President, ICAI, gave a hearty thank you to the speakers thus far and felicitated them all for their empowering and enlightening words. The Day 4 will further host Dr. Bhagwat Kishanrao Karad, Honorable Minister of State for Finance, and Mr. Anupam Kher, actor, to speak on how to transform your life with positive thinking, and finally the closing ceremony will be attended and addressed by the Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Shri Devendra Fadnavis.
Send your comments, suggestions and scope for developments. Always we should be there, and we will love to hear back from you as our valued viewers, listeners. Thank you. You are listening to the IBG News podcast on 21st November 2022. Thank you, viewers, for being with us and listening to this podcast. We wish you all a very peaceful and healthy life and time ahead. See you soon with the next edition of our podcast. Till then, bye bye, good night, Shabakar.